Now, some of you might be experiencing NARD for the very first time today. And 2 years ago, we were too. We were just out for a walk through town and we stumbled across NARD happening in the Triangle. And that unexpected encounter ended up playing a big part in where we are today. So we wanted to take a moment and share with you how we got started with Activism.
So we were already vegan when we stumbled across NARD 2 years ago. And so we were absolutely amazed when we realised that the event was about animals. And then we were even more amazed when we realised that everyone taking part was vegan too. We were like, other vegans exist. We couldn't believe it. We ended up holding some placards at the Viva stall that day. And I think that was our first real feeling of doing something that mattered and what it felt like to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. And so shortly after NARD, we both joined We the Free, and that's where our journeys really began.
So confidence is something I've often struggled with. So the thought of doing activism was very daunting. I was worried about not knowing enough facts and not having answers to the many questions we could be asked. But I attended my first We the Free event in Bournemouth, where I had way more conversations than I expected to. The highlight of that first day was a conversation with a very compassionate lady who decided to go vegan on the spot, and she actually joined us here today for the Animal Rights March, and she now does animal rights activism for We the Free as well. After that, my activism journey grew and evolved. I started to meet more friendly activists and branched into different styles of activism. Fast forward 2 years, and it's quite incredible how much I've managed to get involved with. From doing activism with organisations such as Speciesism, Animal Save Movement, PETA, Elwood's Dog Meat, Molly who did the speech today, Plant-Based Treaty, We the Free, Viva, and various grassroots organisations, campaigns with Dorset Animal Action and Southampton Animal Action. To being the organiser of Dorset Animal Save, where I organise vigils at slaughterhouses every single month throughout Dorset, bearing witness to the sheep and cows going into slaughterhouses on these trucks and trailers, going into these hellholes, to say goodbye to them and sort of share their story online with the world, because everyone needs to know about what's happening and someone has to expose them. From that to try and tackling issues from a political angle, speaking up in front of hundreds of councillors and having subsequent meetings with politicians. It's taking multiple direct actions, which I'm happy to chat to you about in private, of course. But one of the main challenges I've grown with activism was showing up online and filming my activism. I'd always admired others for having their conversations filmed on the streets, such as Earthling Ed and Joey Carbstrong. I'd say I'm still very much a beginner of social media, but even so, the videos I've made have now reached over 1 million people. And I started out with an old GoPro and the cheapest microphone I could find on Amazon. But a special shout out to Mel and Steve at the back there. They've always been a guiding light in my activism, providing me with the courage and knowledge to take that leap of faith. Now I hope that I can do the same thing to inspire you, support you, and grow together as a community.
So my first We the Free event was up in Cambridge. Like many of us, I had many fears about doing activism. For me, it was intense anxiety, and I'm also partially deaf, which makes having conversations with people quite difficult sometimes. So even the thought of having a conversation with someone back then was enough to make my whole body tense up. So at this first event, I spent the entire 2 hours nervously shadowing other activists, trying to pluck up the courage to have a conversation with someone. And I did, right at the end. And the lady that I spoke to actually ended up giving me a hug at the end of the conversation. And I remember thinking, okay, maybe this activism thing isn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. So since that first We the Free event, I've done some pretty wild things, or at least my past self would have described them as wild. And I probably would have needed a few shots of vodka to consider doing them. So just to name some of those things, I've marched half naked through the streets of Brighton, dressed as a milked woman, to raise awareness about the harsh realities of the dairy industry. I've stormed a TUI store dressed as an orca to urge them to stop selling marine park tickets. Thank you. And I've sat and had a fancy meal outside a restaurant with fake blood down my face and Alex holding a feeding tube down my throat to urge them to remove foie gras from their menu. Yeah. And yes, believe it or not, I still get told I'm boring for being vegan. What is that about? So while I still struggle with anxiety today, unfortunately, it hasn't magically disappeared. It's much easier than it used to be because fighting for the animals has helped me grow in ways that I never could have imagined. So to wrap up, it would be easy for us to say, you know, it's for the animals, just do it. And while that is absolutely true, we also understand that everyone's starting point is different. If some actions aren't for you, don't be deterred. There's truly something for everyone. Don't be afraid to try new things and don't let your challenges hold you back. Whichever way you choose to take action, it makes a difference for the animals.
So people often think that you lose friends when you go vegan, but since getting active, we have made more friends than we could possibly imagine. So if you haven't already, please join your local activism group, whether it's Dorset Animal Action, Southampton Animal Action, or any animal rights organisations around. Because just because you can't do everything doesn't mean you can't do something. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.